In this lesson, we'll take a look at how to perform a basic recording setup when using Pro Tools in the Sound Studios. If you're not planning on using Pro Tools, then you can skip this lesson and move straight on to how to set up for recording using Audition. If you're working from a pre-existing project that's been created at home or on another edit workstation, as we've already mentioned, we recommend that you copy your data into the student temporary folder onto the Mac before you begin recording or editing. And then once you're done, save your work, close your projects, and then copy everything back to your data storage device. Once you're logged into the Mac, launch Pro Tools from the dock whilst pressing the N key on the keyboard. Don't worry if the Mac beeps a couple of times, as this is normal. If you see any notifications asking if Pro Tools can access any folders or devices on the Mac, such as the Documents folder, click OK. You might also see a Pro Tools pop-up saying that the audio input for Pro Tools is disabled. Click OK again, and then once more if it asks for access to the microphone. Pressing the N key upon startup will automatically open the Playback Engine window. Make sure that the Playback Engine is set to Focusrite Thunderbolt, which is the Red 4 Pre audio interface that we discussed earlier. The I/O buffer size is the amount of time it takes between you pressing play or record and then Pro Tools playing the audio back through the speakers or headphones. Small buffer sizes are great for recording, so the talent hears the audio playback instantly. But they're not so good for playing back multiple audio tracks with various effects applied, so you might come across some playback errors, which sound like clicks and pops. Large buffer sizes are great for editing or mixing, as it gives Pro Tools a little bit more time to process those multiple tracks or different effects. However, a large buffer size isn't so great for recording, as it'll result in latency, which is a delayed signal being sent to the talent's headphones, which can be really off-putting. For recording, I'd recommend 64 samples, and for editing and mixing, I'd go for 2048. You can change this setting midway through a project. Just go to the Setup menu and choose Playback Engine, and click OK once you're done. If you're working on a pre-existing project, you should be able to open it at this point. And if you've imported a video into your project, it should automatically appear on the wall-mounted TVs in the control room and live room. If you're creating a new project from scratch, then you'll see the Pro Tools dashboard. If it's not already ticked, click on the Create from Template checkbox and choose one of the Media Center project templates, depending on if you're outputting in stereo or 5.1 surround sound. Give the project a name and make sure that the file type is set to Broadcast Wave File or WAV, and the bit depth is 24-bit, sample rate is 96 kHz, and I/O settings is last used. Click on Create and then choose where you want to save to. I'd recommend that you save your project in its own master folder, and then you can add additional media content alongside it. If you need a new audio track for your recordings, set one up by going to the Track menu and then New, and then create one mono audio track in Samples and click Create. Give it a relevant name by double-clicking on its current name in the track header within the Edit window. Over in the Mix window, make sure that you've got the correct input device selected for the track. So click on its inputs, choose Interface, and then select either input 1, 2, 3, or 4, depending on which XLR input you've connected the mic into on the wall box in the live room. You can repeat this process if you're using more than one recording track, when you've got multiple mics in the live room, so just choose the relevant input device for each track. Click on the Track Record Enable button to activate it so that it's armed and ready for recording. Assuming your speaker volume is up, you should start to hear the audio signal from the mic in the live room. Now's the time to perform a signal check. Use the talkback box to communicate with the talent and ask them to speak into the mic, the same way that you would during an actual take. Go back to the Red 4 Pre and select the relevant input from the Input Select buttons, then adjust the encoder to set the signal level just like we discussed earlier. When you're ready, click the Record Enable button in the Transport toolbar, followed by Play, which is when Pro Tools starts recording. You can of course provide a verbal countdown for your talent before you start recording. Just press the Talk button on the talkback unit and count them down from 5, 4, 3, 2, then release the Talk button and start the playback for recording. Once you've finished, click the Stop button and then disarm the track's Record Enable button. You'll notice that the new clip has inherited its name from the track, followed by _01, _02, and so on, depending on how many times you've recorded on that track. You can then trim the clip if necessary, and then move it to a separate track ready for mixing. Don't forget to keep saving your project on a regular basis. In this lesson, we've discussed how to set up Pro Tools for recording in the Sound Studios. Coming up next, we'll take a look at how to set up for Adobe Audition instead.